Okay, it's 10 o'clock, so I think we can go ahead and get started. I'm Jennifer Culver. I'm the Senior ATSD here in the Simmons School of Education and the manager of our online production studio. And we're going to talk a little bit this morning about the gradebook functionality in Canvas. If you've got any questions about Canvas functionality and the gradebook or any of those pieces, please just go ahead and start putting them into the chat box, and we'll make sure that we get them answered along the way. I've got with me today Masumi from the Meadows School. She's my counterpart over in Meadows. And we have Graham from SMU Global and Online. And between the three of us, we should be able to have you all set. So I really wanted to cover three main things today. I wanted to look at the assignment settings that inform the gradebook, and then look at some of the gradebook settings that can better reflect some of your policies, and then look at some of the other functions that the Canvas gradebook has. And the most important thing to remember is that the gradebook is created based on your assignment page in Canvas. So all of the details that you take in creating and structuring everything on that assignments page will help you create a gradebook that reflects better what you have in your syllabus. And we do that from the assignments page by adding categories. Categories are groups of assignments that we can put together and tell Canvas how much weight they should have in the overall course. And then we can drag and drop our assignments into these categories so that as we're grading all of these different pieces, Canvas is keeping track of how much they count overall towards the grade. So here's an example set of assignment categories where we've got participation and attendance, homework quizzes, a project, and an overall test. And I've put in some weights and some percentages for each one so that Canvas can keep track of all of that for me, and I can just worry about the grading. But these categories in Canvas have some other benefits to them as well, and one of them is that you can create what's called a category rule. So if, for example, you tell students that you drop their lowest grade in the homework section, you can ask Canvas to do that for you. You can tell Canvas here in category rules that you can drop the lowest score, and you can drop more than one. You can drop the lowest 2 or 3 if you'd like. You can also drop the highest score. But the other nice piece about these category rules is that when you're creating them, if there are a couple of pieces in that category that should not be dropped for any reason, that don't count towards that dropping the lowest or dropping the highest, you can complete this area that says never drop. So if I say I never ever want you to drop this one assignment, whether it's the lowest or the highest, it won't matter. Canvas won't drop it. You can create as many rules as you need to reflect your own policies. And then once we get into the gradebook, we also have the ability inside the gradebook to set up and look at the gradebook in the way that fits how we want to grade. So here you can see that you can arrange the gradebook by assignment, by date, by points, or even by module. You've also got some filters that are in there, so you can create certain filters that can help you if you've got large class sizes, or if you have cross-listed sections, then you can also create all of that. This is in the very first area of the gradebook where, and I'll show it to you inside the gradebook itself in just a minute. You also can create a notes category in the gradebook where you can make certain notes and indications about a certain student, or about a certain student's overall work, or student was excused from this assignment for this reason, just so that you can remember. And you can also make it so that you do or don't see assignments that are published. And then we get to the gradebook icons and colors. And this is something that has really come out of the new gradebook that we got last year. And so all of these icons and colors mean something a little bit different. And I'm going to look at those icons first. So in the very first column where it says identifying symbols group, when it says manual, that means that there's something about that assignment that you as the instructor have to go in and grade. It may be that it's a Word document that you've asked people to submit. It could be that it's a quiz where one of the answers is an open-ended response that you have to go in and score. There's something about it that Canvas can't just grade for you. Column 2 has that I with a line crossed out through it. That means that assignment is currently hidden. And that means that students can't see it. And that is something that you can do in the Canvas Gradebook, is that you can, if you want to, and I'll show you where in just a minute, you can hide certain assignments until you're done with all of the grading. And then you can decide when to post it and announce to students that those grades have been posted. But you also have all of these colors over here on the right-hand side, and those colors can really throw people off if we're not used to seeing them. So here's an example kind of all of the colors that you'll see. And Max's submission, this number 1 submission, for example, is blue. Blue means that that assignment was late. So when you go to it in Speedgrader, it'll have a red mark that says late in it. Number 2, that one is red, and that means it's missing. Number 3 is green, and it's got a piece of paper to it. That means this assignment has been resubmitted and that you need to be able to look at it again and assess it again. Number 4, where that F is, that orange one, that's indicating that if at the moment you were going to drop the lowest grade, that would be the grade that would be dropped. And number 5, that yellow is a mark that you've excused that student from that assignment. And then you have up here no color at all, and that means that these are pieces that you have not graded yet that are waiting for you to grade. And so with that, I want to go ahead and kind of show you this pretend class that we've created that has a pretty good example of a sample gradebook. So here's my sample class, and before I even go to the gradebook, the first thing I want to do is look at my assignments. And I've created a kind of array of assignments to look at. Some of them are published and some of them are not. And I haven't published them because we haven't gotten there yet. And so I don't want the students to see them yet. But in each category, I've got different pieces assigned. And here, down here for the midterm, that one's not published at all. But I've gone ahead and made the category for it so that I know that my category weight will equal 100. And here's where I can find that in the assignment area. I'm going to click on these vertical dots, and I'm going to click on check assignment group weight. And so here's where I can make any adjustments that I want. If I mistakenly made this a 15 and this was supposed to be the 15, I can change that quickly and hit save. And Canvas keeps this automatic total for me. It's nice to have the categories set up and weighed in the right way, because this category breakdown shows up on your syllabus page right here. And Canvas auto-populates this page for you. So it's nice for students to be able to see it. But as you notice, they're not going to see the assignments in particular that I don't want them to see that because I haven't published them yet. But I've also got some assignment rules, and I only have those category rules that I talked about. I only have them in the homework category, but I have 2 of them. And here, if I hover over them, I can see my 2 assignment rules. I'm going to drop the lowest score, but I'm never going to drop reading response number 1. I can click here on my rules and I can leave them hovered like that as well. If I want to change my rules, all I have to do is, again, hit these 3 vertical dots. The 3 vertical dots in Canvas are always your friend. They're always going to give you access to more information. And here's the overall information about my category. The name of it, the percentage of it, the scores, if any, I'm going to drop. What I'm never going to drop, I can add more than 1 to that if I want to, but I don't want to change anything, so I'm going to hit save. What I want to see then when I go into my gradebook is I want to be able to see how all of these are reflected in the gradebook and how I can use them to make it so that my gradebook is a pretty accurate reflection of what's going on in the class so that students know how to track their process and their progression through the course. So I'm going to go ahead and click over to grades. And here's my test student who's done so far nothing. And you can see here that the assignments that I have not published, Canvas has told me that they're unpublished and they're a little darker than the ones that are published. Here are all of my assignments. And here, at the end of the gradebook, here are my assignment categories. And we don't have to do anything with the assignment categories in the gradebook. Canvas is just showing you how these overall student percentages are averaging out at the moment for that student. So if my test student makes 100 on scenario 1, then that's part of a certain category. And over here in the category, once it's posted, because it's not at the moment, then that will show up in the percentage. I've also got my total. And I like to see the total average up in the front near the student's name so I don't have to scroll, because a lot of us have a lot of assignments and percentages and we'd really like to know averages early. So again, 3 vertical dots, move to the front, and now here's my total and I can have it right by the student's name. Here's where I can set up and customize my gradebook some. Here's my view, and here's the piece I was showing you before. I can set it up by assignment, by due date, by points, or by module. I can filter by assignment group or by module if I want to. So if I'm really only grading things in module 1, now this means you have to put the assignments in the modules for that to work, but I can filter it so that I only see module 1. I can also view by status if I want to. I really only want to see the papers that have been resubmitted. And here's where I can add that notes column if I feel like that's going to be helpful to me. So here's all of these different areas in the gradebook, but there's even more we can do to customize this a little bit. I can import assignments directly into certain gradebook columns if I've done them outside of Canvas. I can also export my gradebook as an Excel file if I need to. And I can switch to an individual view if I want to look at just one student's work. And sometimes if a student is not understanding how they are moving through a course or how their grade is being calculated or what they're missing, it can be really helpful to pull this individual view and take a look at that one student's work. We don't have one in here, which is why they're not going to give us one, because our test student does not count for that particular piece. Go back to the gradebook. And now I've got everything set up the way I want. I have a couple more choices that I haven't put into place yet. And those are over here in the gear. Here is where I can put into practice my late policy. So if you have a late policy that says that we automatically apply a grade, for example, to missing submissions, that I'm going to count all missing submissions as a 0. And I have a late deduction, and I can do it here. And if I say 10% by day, I can also do by hour, but not below a 50, then I can put that in place. And then when students submit work late, not only will you get that blue color that the student's work is late, but you'll also then have Canvas do the deducting for you. So when you're grading, you're going to grade that student the way you would always grade that student, and then Canvas will take care of all of the deductions. And then over here in the grade posting policy, this is where I was talking about hidden grades and not hidden. And when I was teaching, I really wanted to not have Canvas automatically post the grades, because I wanted to look at the whole of student work. And I also didn't want students to have, some students to have their grade and some students to not have their grade at the same time. So I would manually post the grades, which means that I can be grading an assignment, and when I'm ready, and I tell Canvas to post the grades, Canvas will then tell the students that the grades are ready for them to see. If you leave it here on automatically post grades, which a lot of people also do, then the minute you enter a grade into the gradebook, the student will be notified that that student has a grade. It's entirely your choice. I'm going to leave this on manual just so I can show you a couple of steps that are needed here. And then in advanced grade settings, here is where you can override the final grade if you want to. If you are going to round up a 79 to an 80 or something like that. And so you want that final number here to be the same letter that they'll be seeing from my.smu. You can click on this override column and you can change things if you need to. So then I click update and everything is set. And my gradebook is pretty much ready to go at this point. The other nice piece from the gradebook here is that if I want to, I can go directly to Speedgrader. So if I want to look at my test student submission, if I click on this arrow right here, here's my student. This is the particular assignment. I can go straight to Speedgrader, or I can type in the grade right here. I can also click excused if the student is excused from the assignment. I can also leave feedback right here as well without going into Speedgrader at all if I want to. But if I want to, I can go into Speedgrader from here, and then I can look at the assignment and make any scores that I want to make. The nice thing about being able to move back and forth into Speedgrader is that if they're uploading files and things like that, then you have a lot of space and annotation tools and things like that that are available. If you are using tools like Turnitin, then you'll also have icons on the gradebook that will show you how to look at your Turnitin reports and see how they did. But you'll also get color-coded icons on the new gradebook that kind of tell you kind of where the students were. on those originality reports. And we've got a couple of questions. In the past, students claimed they could not see comments that you wrote to them. There's a difference between putting comments kind of in this notes area, which they won't see, and leaving comments. And these comments in Speedgrader, the students should be seeing as long as the grade has been posted. And so if the grades are hidden and you haven't posted them yet, then no, the students won't see it. But once they've posted, those assignments should be available. Yes, they should be getting notified when comments are made. But, and here's kind of the caveat with Canvas, unfortunately, that we'll always have to give you this answer. Students and faculty both, well, everyone who has a Canvas account, they can set their own notifications. And so we aren't sure what our students set for notifications. And so they can have it so that they're notified when everything comes out, but they could also turn all of those off. And we wouldn't know. It's a personal setting. If you're using a rubric in any one of your assignments, your rubric will show up in Speedgrader as well. So if, for example, we add a rubric here to reading response, and we'll go find one from, and we'll just grab one from here. And so now we've got a rubric attached to the assignment. When we go into Speedgrader, all we have to do is view our rubric. You can also slide it over so you can see your rubric a little bit better. And notice with your rubrics, you've got some options as well. You can click on the boxes and Canvas will put the points in and you can make your comments here. You also can make your comments here. In either place, they should get them. If you want to give the student, your options really are 5, 3, or 0. If you want to give your student a 2, you can still do that. All you have to do in the points area is put a 2 and then save and then make comments and then submit. You can make video comments if you want to just record and talk to the students. You can make audio comments as well. Yeah, I mean, the question about are we wasting our time leaving messages because they have their notifications turned off, I don't think that most students have all of their notifications turned off. They may be getting a daily, because they can do that as well. They can wait and have all the notifications for Canvas just come in once a day so that they aren't getting a lot of notifications all of the time. And I've seen a lot of students set that to daily. Some students set it to weekly, and some students leave their notifications alone and they get notified about all of it. I think that it's valuable, especially if, as an instructor, you are leaving lots of comments for students and you want them to be able to notice those and incorporate those into future work, to talk to them about their notifications and to encourage them to have those notifications set so that they'll know when something's come in. Sometimes they don't know about where their notifications are and that they can change them. In Speedgrader, I've graded and I've left a comment. So if I come back to the gradebook, you can see that my grades are still hidden because I've said I don't want my grades to be hidden. I mean, I don't want my grades to be posted. There's my little I that's crossed out. And now my total is also hidden from my test student. So if you have an assignment that has not posted grade-wise yet, because you've chosen to post all of the grades at once, the total will also be hidden from the students because this total has changed and Canvas doesn't want that to show until you're ready for them to see all of it. And so here is where I would say, nope, it's okay, I'm ready. I'm going to post the grades. Canvas will tell you how many grades you have hidden. You can choose to post everybody's grades or just the people you've graded or specific sections if you've cross-listed your course. And then when you click post, there it goes. And now the total's not hidden anymore. You can see here in this quiz, it says manual. If I click on my 3 dots, I can, in quizzes, I can go straight to the quiz and start grading it again. And a lot of times too, manual means that there's something that has to be actually graded by you. But these 3 dots in the gradebook show a lot of other interesting features as well. So if I click here on this quiz, if you notice, I can sort. I can go straight to Speedgrader, but I really like this, and this is the message students who. And if you click on message students who, you get a lot of choices here. You can send a message to all of the students who have not submitted yet and say, please take the quiz by midnight. And now you don't have to go and find who hasn't done it and send it to them. And you also don't have to send an announcement to every student because it's possible that a lot of students have already done it. This is targeted messaging that will go just to the students who haven't done something. You also can message students who scored less than a certain percentage. And here's where I can put that. If you scored less than a 70, I can say, please retake quiz 1. Because maybe I allowed for more than 1 attempt and I want these students to try again so that they can pass. I can message students who did well, and I can message students who haven't been graded yet and say, I'll have your grades ready by a certain time. So this message students is a really powerful feature. You also can set a curve on quizzes here and assign zeros to non-submissions. But this warning is once you've curved it, you cannot undo it. We can set default grades. You can enter grades as points or percentages. And you can come back here to your posting policy, and here's that piece again where I've said I want this to be manual. I want to decide when students see the grades, but I can change it for this particular assignment if I want to. If, for example, this quiz was all objective, it was all multiple choice and true false and things that Canvas could grade, it's possible then that I might want students to see their grade as soon as they're done because there's nothing for me to look at individually beforehand, and I can go and review them, but they can go ahead and see how they did. So I may want to change that for 1 grade, and I can do that here. On regular assignments here, you still have the same options that you did on the quiz. You can sort them, you can message them, you can curve them, you can enter grades as points as percentages. Same with the total. You can sort. So you have a lot of choices and a lot of ways to not only customize the gradebook in a way that makes it better for you to do the work that you need to do, but to also customize the gradebook in a way that reflects your own grading categories and your grading systems so your students can keep progress of how they're doing and they understand where they are in their courses. That's a really fast overview of the Canvas gradebook, but we've hit kind of all of the main points of it. Are there any other questions about the gradebook? Then in that last little bit of time, there's a little bit more that I can show you. One is that you can search here in the gradebook, and you can search by student name. So if you're looking for a particular student, and if you have a really large class that goes way past scrolling here in the gradebook. And you can search here and you can start putting in the student's name, and the students will start to begin to filter out. That can be helpful if you're looking for one student's grade because you need to talk to them about a submission or their overall average or things like that. That's a very helpful feature as well. I've hidden totals in the past because students were confused and could not find the average. Yeah, if the total isn't going to be reflective of what their actual grade is going to be for any number of reasons, then there's a lot of decision making there about what to let students see or not see. Because if the total really doesn't reflect your course, then students can be confused about how that is working compared to what they're seeing in Canvas. So in those first few sessions with them, taking them through your course and taking them through this page especially, not really the gradebook, because their grades page looks different than yours. But taking them here and showing them the breakdown of how assignments work in your course and how grades work and how percentages work. And if you're not using percentages and you're going by a point-based system, Canvas can do that for you as well, and we can absolutely talk to you about how to set that up. Normally, in a point-based system, you would not use categories. You would have categories that are not necessarily weighted, but you could have categories only for organization, and then you would put the number of points for each assignment that way. But Canvas will support either one. But I would spend a lot of time with students here in this assignment page, letting them see how things are set up, letting them see how this will look for them. The student view in Canvas will show their grades differently. So let's take a look at how the gradebook looks from a student perspective. Because here my test student had something graded. And this is what the students will see when they click on grades. They will see the overall breakdown of everything that's been published. So remember, we had a lot of assignments that were published, and some of those aren't showing up, as they shouldn't. Like the midterm, it's not there. The students see that category breakdown. So again, that's really helpful. It's helpful for this to be accurate because the students have that as a reference point in several different places in the course. And then we've got the categories here as far as how much they weigh. So here are their individual scores. Here's the comment that I made. There's the comment that I made. So they can see it here in the gradebook as well as going to the assignment itself. Here's the rubric. Here's where it shows what I scored on the rubric. So the students get a lot of information. And this is another place that it's good to take them to. You can always go into Student View from your home page and clicking right here on Student View. And so if at any point in time you're wondering what does it look like when students click on something, this is really helpful. Are the assignments not visible because they're not published or because the settings made them not visible yet? The assignments were not visible because they were not published. And there were some assignments that were not visible yet, and those had a little eye with a line on them on that student view, so they can see that the grades have not been posted. And that's another good time to talk to them about why things look the way they look. So here, I have that policy that grades don't post until I post them. So they've made progress in certain places, but they don't have a score yet because I haven't posted those. And that's why all of those are clear. But those are all published assignments. And in assignments, here are all the other ones that are not published yet. If you're wanting to set up your assignment categories and your assignments, but you really aren't wanting to create all the directions and everything for every single assignment right now, but you want this at least to be accurate when you're showing it to your students, you can absolutely do that. And you can do that from here, from this page. So I know I'm giving a midterm and I want to give a final. All I have to do is hit this plus button. It already goes to what is it that I want. I'm going to give a final exam as a quiz. I'm going to call it a final exam. It will be worth 100 points, and I'm going to save it. Now it's in the right spot, and it's the right kind of assessment. And I can go in later and put all of the information in because it's not published, but I can at least populate some of these pieces just so that I can see where everything lands and the students can see where everything lands. And I still don't need to publish anything until I'm ready. You also can, from here, click on Edit Assignment Dates. This is new and it's really cool. And you can put in all the dates for all your assignments here on one page. So if you have your syllabus handy, this is really helpful. It's not technically about the gradebook, but it kind of is. But it's really nice. If your syllabus is got all of these due dates on it, you can fill all of it in from just this page. But back to the gradebook. Yes, this is the page that I would show them and talk to them about in details. I've linked Canvas to assignments created through MindTap, which is what a Cengage product. Will they be visible when I publish the course? That is still dependent on publishing or not. If you publish the course, that doesn't mean you've published assignments. And so if I publish this practice course, all these pieces that are unpublished still remain unpublished. Now, if I put them in modules, so if in week 1, I decide that I want to add a discussion and I publish the module, then everything under the module will publish with it. But Canvas does want you to publish things individually. And so now that I have something in Module 1, if I come back to my gradebook and hit View, I can filter by module. And here I can put which module. And now there's my only grade in Module 1. So I can just grade Module 1. If you have a lot of courses and you have a lot of students, some of these filtering options can really help you grade faster and take a look at how the grading here affects the overall category totals as you do your work. The Canvas Gradebook is something that has so much functionality to it that don't be surprised if at times things, symbols pop up or colors pop up or something happens and it's a lot. And if you're not sure what those colors mean or any of those kinds of things, that's what your ATSDs are for. So, in Simmons, it's me. In Meadows, it's Masumi. You've got ATSDs in every single school throughout the university. And so if all of a sudden you've got a whole bunch of colors showing up, and we're happy to work through that with you, and we're happy to talk to you as you're working on your gradebook and building certain things. So if categories don't seem to be working correctly, your view isn't showing up correctly, you've set some of these missing late work policies, but they don't seem to be calculating correctly, or you're back over here in assignments, and there's a way to drop something, but you don't remember what it is, just reach out, and we are happy to help you But we do hope that as you're looking at some of these features inside Canvas, that you get a little bit excited about the fact that as Canvas improves, it's getting more and more able for us to really help students keep track of their own learning and their own progress, which is something that they want very much. Okay, well, I want to thank you for your time this morning. I wish you all the best for a happy start to fall. And as you're going through, again, reach out if you need anything. We have I've got one last question. I have an assignment that's all or nothing, and it's a discussion that has to be satisfied. Do I enter grades manually? Yes, we can reflect grades that are just completion grades, and then you'll see them as a check or an X, but you would still be putting those in manually. But it really is an all or nothing kind of thing, but we can absolutely set those things up in Canvas as well. Okay, thank you for your time. We're going to clear out and let the next group get ready to start in this room. We were glad you were here this morning. Once again, reach out if you need anything at all.